Today we're going to be going over some fragrance clones that are simply just great. Like, these are really, really good, affordable alternatives to considerably more expensive designer and niche scents. And this is a pretty common topic these days when it comes to clones. They're really blowing up, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that fragrances aren't getting any cheaper. Like, it cannot happen to where they're going to start lowering their prices now. You know, they can only go up from here, and that's evident with what's been going on the past several years. Well, I guess I should say that they could lower their prices if they wanted to, but I don't think they will. And so with every new designer release, as it gets further and further down the rabbit hole of flankers, you know, EDPs, parfums, elixirs, and so on, they're getting just even more pricey. And what at one point was a hobby that, you know, I guess has never been affordable, but that could have been manageable, it's kind of gotten out of hand now. And now you are kind of faced with the decision of, you know, buying clones, buying, you know, really, really cheap designers, maybe not buying anything at all. Or, of course, buying the real thing and just spending way more out of pocket than you're comfortable with. And so this is where this market comes into play. That's why it's being talked about so much, because it's just one of those things where it's getting out of hand. Rest assured, these clones here are great options if you are on a budget and you just don't want to spend a ton of money, but you're hearing certain fragrances hyped up and talked about a lot, and you kind of want to see what they're all about. And I've also said this before, even if you already have, you know, the originals of these clones, you know, you paid a lot of money for it, maybe you don't feel comfortable wearing it every day or often because you're going to run through it quicker, you can go ahead and purchase a clone, and now you're going to be set up. You can wear that instead and kind of offset that cost, especially when we're talking rare and discontinued fragrances, which we're going to be covering in here, at least a few of them. And so the only way really to buy clones are on discounters. So I'll link them up down below for you and make it super easy. You know, we'll get things kicked off with Fragrance World Suits. Now, this one is, no surprise, a YSL Tuxedo clone. And for whatever reason, I don't know why, but there are a ton of YSL Tuxedo clones. It's almost become like the next Creed Aventus in terms of clones. And YSL Tuxedo is nowhere near as popular as Aventus. So I don't know what's going on. Pretty much every major clone brand has their take on Tuxedo at this point. So if you're brand loyal, pick your favorite clone brand and go for their clone. You know, for me, I kind of just look at all of the clone brands. There's not any one in particular that I hone in on and say screw the rest. For the most part, all the big ones that you hear talked about do a really good job. In the case of Fragrance World, one unique thing that they've been doing, and they're not the only ones to do it, but they're one of the key players that have been doing this, is they're going after the presentation as well, evident right here. So if you're after presentation and you're after a super authentic smelling YSL Tuxedo for around, I don't know, I think this is going for $35, maybe $40. Definitely check this one out. Tuxedo itself is a very unique patchouli, it's spicy, ambergris scent. It's great stuff. But again, the real one is pricey. It's $270 at retail. Next up, we have a new one, okay? New clone release. It's actually a flanker, but this one is so good. And when I was kind of doing some research before I even got my bottle, just looking at the note breakdown, I had a feeling I was going to like it a lot, and I ended up being right. Lattafa Khamrah Qahwa. Okay, now I've already done a full review on this one, going over the entire scent, how it compares to the original, and all of that in performance. So I'm not going to get into the weeds too much there, but I can tell you, just kind of keeping it quick and simple, it's Khamrah with coffee, and also it's lightened up a little bit. It's definitely not fresh by any means, but the original Khamrah is shockingly sweet, and it's a bit too much for some people. And there are even certain times where I'm not even in the mood to wear it because it's just so overpowering and it's a lot. So you kind of have to be in the mood to wear that one, and preferably it would be cold outside when you do. This one I think is a little bit more tame, and the coffee in here is incredible. I really kind of focused in on that in my review, but such a fantastic roasted coffee accord. It smells absolutely stunning. Like, I will take this over the original any day, and I kind of figured that was how it was going to be. And so what does this one smell like? In a nutshell, it kind of gets compared to Angel Share by Kilian, but now as we go into this flanker, you know, that kind of separates itself a little bit more. Has some of that DNA going on, just with more coffee. Definitely a fantastic, high-performing winter scent. Next up, we have Paris Corner Cherry Cola. So they were pretty quick to get this guy out. It is a Mancera Tonka Cola clone. And, you know, in all fairness, that Mancera isn't crazy expensive. You know, on discounters, you expect to pay around $100, $105 for that one, which isn't horrible. Retails for $180, which compared to other niche isn't all that bad either. But don't pay retail for Mancera. Oftentimes they're $100 or less. And so at the end of the day, that's not bad. That's still designer pricing essentially. But again, you know, you can get this for $35. And so that's still a pretty big price spread. And again, you can put the rest of that money towards some other clones or another, you know, designer full bottle purchase or whatever it might be. So there's definitely some utility by shopping with these clones. You know, every little bit adds up in the grand scheme of things over tens and tens and potentially hundreds of bottles. And they did a great job here. You get the cinnamon, you get that cola smell, a lot of tonka bean in here. This DNA is very unique and definitely something a bit interesting and fun for the cooler weather. Okay, kind of going over to the fresher side of things, we have Lattafa Maahir Legacy, and this one smells very similar to PDM Sedley, Parfums de Marly Sedley, of course. And that one is one of my favorite fresh ones in the line. I think they did a good job on it. You know, it's kind of blue fragrance-ish, but with their own twist as well. Very musky, citrusy, all of that going on. Has kind of a green mintiness, as does this one. And this also has all the citrus, the musk, the ambrox, and all of that stuff. So again, very similar. This one in particular, off the opening, get a pretty nice, realistic lime accord. And that is something that I don't get as much in Sedley, the lime. It's a lot more bergamot and all of that stuff, but it's in here and it actually smells really good. Nice, crisp, refreshing, invigorating, and this stuff is an absolute stunner in any sort of heat. So for a lot of us right now, it's, you know, probably not the one you're going to be reaching for a ton as we're, you know, getting into winter here. But, you know, if you do want a fresher scent to change it up, or you want to grab something and wait to wear it in spring, summertime, go for this one. It's another one that's $35, maybe $37, and it's considerably cheaper than Sedley, which is going for, you know, on a good day, $180, you know, or maybe 200-ish. So again, a lot of savings. This next one here is $20. It's one of the cheapest clones in this video. It is Charuto Tobacco Vanille by Pandora Scents. Also, Paris Corner, as seen right there. So again, you know, a lot of these clone brands branch out and do some other little sub-brands as well. And this one is super easy to figure out if the name doesn't give it away, or maybe you think, oh, you know, maybe they're not being that obvious with it. They are being that obvious with it. Tom Ford Tobacco Vanille. And for $20, this is remarkable. Even myself going into it, I purchased this one, of course, blindly, because where are you really going to sample these? And I was like, yeah, it's going to be hit or miss. I was kind of thinking more on the miss side, or just it's going to be, you know, just cheap and not all that good. I was very much wrong. In fact, this one is shockingly good. And to me, I would have no problem paying the price that a lot of these others are going for this one, $35, maybe $40. I would still say this one holds up big time. The tobacco, the vanilla in here is rich, it's strong, it's a little bit powdery, it's smoky, it smells incredible. They did an amazing job with this. And Tom Ford Tobacco Vanille, you know, it's definitely a hype monster. That one always smells like Christmas to me. I don't know what it is about it. It just kind of has a, you know, you get the dried fruits, but then the tobacco, vanilla, which is kind of just a warmer scent for cooler times of the year. But then there's almost like this Christmas tree, pine tree type of undertone to it. And I get the same thing here. It just smells like the holidays. It's one that is very relaxing, and it smells great. Tobacco Vanille is very expensive, and again, this one is not. Okay, this next one is going to be a clone of a discontinued scent, or at least a, maybe it was a limited edition scent that is now no longer. And it is Fragrance World Jack of Clubs. It's a clone of La Nuit de l'Homme Bleu Electrique, which is one of the best flankers within that line. And it went away in like a year or less than a year. It was a very, very bizarre scenario with that one, and I don't get it at all. To this day, I still think back on Bleu Electrique, and I'm like, yeah, I just don't know what happened there. If you guys were around during that time, you would remember, and this is kind of when I started doing my deals and stuff, because I was upset about it. You know, it was one that I was enjoying so much, and I was having a great time being able to share it with you guys. It hadn't even hit discounters yet, but I was like, guys, when this hits discounters, it's going to be one to get, because it is OG La Nuit de l'Homme reimagined. And it didn't even make it to that point before it went away. And so what ended up happening was retailers like Macy's, they were, clearancing it out. So they were selling it for 50% off. And I was like, okay, guys, well, here's your chance to get it, I guess. And it sold out and kept selling out, and then it went away. And then it popped up later on discounters after there was a circulation of it. And from time to time, it does still pop up. You can get on my mailing list and texting list down below, and I do notify anytime something rare, hard to find like that comes into stock, and it happens more often than you would think. A lot of times you probably just miss it. When you're busy, if you're at work, I'll send a notification straight to you. You can jump on and grab it, and usually it's going to sell out within minutes, or less than an hour. So make sure you jump on those, and you'll be notified anytime something good comes up. Jack of Clubs, again, it really gets in on that DNA, just at a fraction of the cost, and availability is a little bit better. This one, because it's new and because it's, a clone of a very popular, hard to find scent, it kind of sells out, but it pops up and it's not a big issue. Don't go out there and overpay for this either. Don't pay 50, 60, 70 bucks on eBay. Wait for it to come in stock and you'll be able to get it for 30-ish. Next up, we have Lattafa Suqraat. It's an eau de parfum. It's a clone of Acqua di Gio Profumo, or in modern times, Acqua di Gio Parfum, because that's what's out there now, and they're very similar. And so, yeah, when this came out, I don't believe that the parfum was out yet, and so they were cloning Profumo, but now things have changed a little bit. Profumo is discontinued, and the parfum is taken over. That's fine. That doesn't change the fact that Acqua di Gio Parfum retails for basically 200 bucks. It's $198 for the standard 4.2 ounce bottle. That's pricey for a designer. It really is. It's crazy. And it pops up on discounters usually for $120, $125, maybe $130 for that bottle size, which is better, but still not cheap. This is in the 30 to low 40s as well. So again, we're just talking big savings, less than half the price. And you can take that extra, $60, $70 and roll that into some other clones or whatever it might be. Just pocket the rest of the money so your wife doesn't get mad, and just don't spend it on the stuff together. There's a lot you could do with that 60, 70 bucks. So yeah, if you want Acqua di Gio Parfum on the low, I would get this one. It's a very versatile DNA. It works for anything. Pandora scents Milano Prive, another Paris corner, and this is another discontinued one. Well, not this, but what their cloning is, and that is 1 million Prive. I don't know what took them so long, or not just them, but clone brands in general. I don't know why it didn't happen sooner, but just recently this one came out, and 1 million Prive has been discontinued for a long time. Cinnamon, tobacco, you get some fruits in here. It smells beautiful. Appley, cinnamon, sweetness. It's one of the best fall scents ever created. And it was by far Paco Rabanne's best work within the 1 million line, and it could just be one of their best works across everything ever. And so it's a shame that they discontinued that, but again, that's old news. It's been that way for a while. Just recently this one popped up and it kind of rekindled that spark for 1 million Prive. And so if you're someone who hasn't had a chance to buy that one, get this. If you're someone like me who has 1 million Prive and a backup bottle or two, still get this, because then you can wear this instead of your real ones, and you can keep stashing that one away so it lasts you a lifetime. Afnan Rare Carbon. So Tom Ford Ombre Leather. It's another Tom Ford clone in here. I'm not picking on them. I love Tom Ford, but they are pricey. So this is another one that, for whatever reason, this number seems popular, but it's like $37, maybe 40-ish. I don't know what it is about that 37, but it seems to be popping up a lot. It's where a lot of these fall, 35, 37, low 40s. And it's ombre leather. You guys know it. It's a wearable leather, unlike Tuscan leather, which is a bit more challenging. There are clones of that one too, but I think this one's a bit more wearable. Last up for this video, we have an Armaf. They are the lone wolf. There hasn't been any Armafs in this video up until this point. And they do kind of operate differently. They're a bit slower to put things out. I mean, they gave us 4 new releases at the beginning of the year all at once, which was great. But there's something about these other clone brands. They've just been rapid fire releasing stuff. So, they're just doing their own thing, I guess. That's fine. They've been around for a long time. They don't need to prove anything. Club de Nuit Intense Man Limited Edition Parfum. It is my favorite Aventus clone of the Armaf lineup. So this is the one to get. In my opinion, you don't need to bother with the EDT or the EDP or the regular parfum. buy this one time for 60 bucks and just be done with it. Don't get any of the others. It's the best one. It's got the modern fruity Aventus deal going on with actually a little bit of vanilla in the dry down, which is what older Aventus has. So it's kind of like a mashup. Really, really good clone here. Very similar and considerably cheaper than actual Aventus. Alrighty guys, that's going to do it for me. These clones are great. I don't care what anybody says. If you're on a budget, there's no reason why you should avoid these or feel like, oh, you shouldn't do it or whatever. There's nothing wrong with saving some money and getting a similar result. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.